Today we are going to answer the question that's on every professional's mind. How can we be happy and engaged when we don't have an office? That is the question we are getting to today. And joining me is a certified mindfulness and wellness coach, Navjot Dhaliwal. Hello, Navjot. How are you today?
Hi, Gabby. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming on. So today I wanted to get your ideas. So, you work with a lot of people in all different kinds of backgrounds. I'm sure they all have the same questions of what they're doing with their lives, basically. And not only is work a very big part of their lives, but it influences basically everything else. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get your ideas on your thoughts about company culture. I'm sure a lot of people have had these discussions, and why is it so important? Why are people looking for a really good company culture?
I think that it's because, like you said, the average full-time employee, right, is 40 hours a week, right? Mm-hmm. And now with the pandemic, everyone's working from home. So technically you don't know how many more hours you're really adding onto there because, you might take longer breaks or you might be very disengaged at home. You never know. There's so many distractions. So point being, you're spending a lot of time working, right? Regardless if you're getting stuff done or not, you're working, right? And work's on your mind. So if you're working for somewhere where you don't feel like you have purpose, meaning if you don't feel happy with where you work, right? And maybe you don't even know how to have that clear communication to even talk to people about that you work with, it can really affect you, And that's what number one thing I'm realizing right now with my current clients. It's like quarantine happened, back in March. Completely affected all different industries. Mm-hmm. Like I have a project manager, I have somebody in marketing, It's just affecting everybody on this different level. From communication, from emotional intelligence, just this pandemic in general has done it's been a lot on our nervous systems. Absolutely. So just imagine like having that, but then your company also isn't even asking you how you're doing, and they're still throwing a bunch of work at you,
Yes, and it's not only that, it's partially because we don't even know what's going to happen with the company.
We don't.
There's possibilities that it might not even be around in a couple of months. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the importance is, if you don't have your people with you, you don't have a company. Exactly. That is the main difference between anything like sales. You need people to sell.
Yeah.
You need people to make money.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that thing. But in general, you can't just get rid of them. And they're going to be there. And if you don't retain your talent, then you're basically dead in the water.
Yeah.
Because then you can't attract new talent. You can't have people to say, I really want to work at that company. And that's what we're all hoping for, right? We want people to be like, that's a company I want to work for. Those people really treat their employees well. They care about them. Mm-hmm. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's very interesting how that matters so much more now than I think back when kind of corporate culture was corporate culture wasn't really or company culture wasn't very much talked about. Mm-hmm. Everyone was just kind of okay with living kind of robotically, clock in, clock out, do your 40 hours, go to happy hour on the weekends and just vent and complain about your jobs. It's just that, there's it's a cycle of suffering, essentially. And I think that now that's why a bunch of companies, they really want to get their, company reviews up. So I remember last week having this conversation with you about just in Orange County, because that's where we are right now, but all over the world, all over the US especially, you can look up what it's like to work at certain companies.
Yes.
So what was the
best
resource
places to work?
Best places to work.
So best places to work in Orange County. There's a survey that comes out, also Los Angeles, San Francisco, anywhere basically that's a main business hub. And there's a survey that goes out to all the employees in the company, and it's questions related to how they feel working there. Mm-hmm. Are they proud of where they work? Do they feel valued? Do they think that their work is actually doing something? Are they happy, basically?
So important.
So all those questions go out, They ask about leadership specifically. They say, how do you feel about your boss? Do they respect you? Do they give you enough of resources to do your job? Do you feel like you have enough time? You know, there's a lot of things that go into that, and if they are not feeling like they are supported or they are, you know, valued, then they're going to answer badly, and you're not going to get the best places to work in Orange County. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's just how it's going to go. So, you know, like, those things exist if you want to get that. But the thing is, many people, like myself, look at those company lists and they say, that is awesome. I want to work there. I'm going to apply to all those places, you know, like that.
Yeah.
At least I've done that. So
totally, yeah.
people care, and that is such an important topic right now, especially in the millennials coming in as the largest generation in the workforce right now. Gen Z, very close behind. So it's like those types of things are becoming so much more important than you were saying back in the day when nobody cared about their job and they just said, I hate it here, but I'm going to go home and do whatever I want later.
Yeah, it was this story that everybody was told that, like, I need to suffer in order to pay my bills and provide for my family, you know what I mean? And now that more women are working, now that mental health is being more, you know what I mean? Like you mentioned millennials really, really care about mental health, and it's just because of this, like, they're really showing us, you know what I mean? Like, these heightened cases of anxiety and depression, you know what I mean? It's like they're showing us kind of like the way of like, okay, this isn't going to work anymore. Like, we need to start asking how our employees are feeling. We need to start asking how our leaders are feeling. Like, how are you communicating? Are you talking at your employees, or are you talking to them and with them?
Right.
So there are definitely some skills that I feel like that are needed right now to definitely showcase and improve work culture, company culture, and not only that, the lives of like everyone. And when you mentioned the surveys, I was just thinking, like, if I wasn't happy at a company and I had received a survey like that from, you know, the best places to work in OC, and I was looking at those questions, just being able to read those questions and like answer them, if I could honestly answer those questions and say I'm not happy here on like all of them, that would give me way more incentive to just like dip, you know, just like, bye, I'll go work somewhere else. There's all these other companies that are on this list, and I see lists of like that blowing up everywhere now because no one wants, like I said, that's an old story. Nobody wants to work somewhere. They know that that's not a story we have to accept, that we need to work somewhere where we hate in order to pay our bills. Like, you only have one life, and you spend most of your life working, so it's like a no-brainer. Take care of your employees.
And I mean, so in terms of employee engagement, that's a huge thing right now. And before, when it was back in the day and the same story was being played, it's amazing that people even made money, because a disengaged employee is somebody that is actively upset, and they are saying, you know, like, this sucks, I hate it here, the hostile environment, everything is terrible, and I don't like working here. You know, like, those are the types of people that are disengaged. But research has shown us that 1 in 3 employees are disengaged, and that was when we were working in an office. So if we're talking about now that people are not even like actively going in and seeing their coworkers and having maybe perks and whatnot, you know, like, that is probably going down. And engagement is directly correlated to productivity. You know, like, if they're not happy, they're not going to be doing a good job for you, and your money is on the line there. Like, if you're not productive, it's going down, and your sales are going down, and nothing is going to work well. So it's important for us to talk about the employee engagement. So I really like that you're saying, you know, like, this is important now. This is what people are interested in. And not only that, is part of it is healthcare. I mean, if people are stressed out, we know that 60% of human illnesses and diseases are because of stress.
Chronic stress,
Chronic stress is taking a toll on people. So with that, it's like, I know 3 out of 4 doctor's visits are because of stress-related problems. So how many times are employees leaving the office to go to the doctor for these problems because they're stressed out at work? Like, you know, if you're not taking that into account, then you're losing money immediately, you know? So, I mean, what is your thought process on, like, the mental health part in terms of chronic stress?
Yeah, so from a psychological perspective, it's like I can totally see that, and pharmaceuticals have gone up in the anxiety and depression, SSRIs, all of that has really gone up right now. And there's something to be said about if your levels are low, there are definitely, chemical imbalances. There are definitely reasons why people need to go on medication for anxiety and depression. However, or even, sometimes it's hereditary, it's genetic, for sure. I'm not against that. But what I'm saying is that, like, there are so many ways that you can prevent being even on those medications, because the things about those medications that really, like, breaks my heart is that a lot of them, they numb you. So your employees are coming to work. So I just recently got off a consultation with somebody, and he said that he's on a very high prescription of Xanax because he suffers from anxiety panic attacks, right? But his company, they're always asking him, produce, like work, right? And he's like, and he's in tech, and he's like, yeah, like I'm there, I'm working, but I'm like numbed out, and there's so many things that he says mental health wise that didn't get addressed, and it's not genetic, he was the first one in his family to even experience this, so it's like his family and a lot of the older generation too, like they need to be educated on this, because mental health is like such a newer like topic and people are still discovering a lot about it. Like it's like sometimes your family can't even be there for you. So it's like, where do you turn to, And that's why I think that it's really, really important for leaders, for managers, for CEOs to invest in their employees for this preventative, for these preventative measures, right?
Yeah.
Before they get even, into a more numb state. And that's why I love to teach emotional awareness too. It's like, okay, how do you deal with these heavy emotions? Because they're not going to go away. No. We've also been told this thing that, like, once you have a lot of money, all your problems get solved. Like, no.
Pretty sure they get worse.
They actually get worse. Like Biggie said, more money, more problems, right?
Right.
No, it's true though. But it's like, it's like you can see the most bossy CEOs of companies, co-founders, big companies, they are still human. They are still going to deal with stress. They're still gonna, and exactly, you have more responsibilities.
Right.
That's where that whole more money, more problems thing comes from. You have more responsibilities. You have more on the line. So investing in your, mental health, investing in your employees' mental health, it's for like actually the vibe of the whole like entity, for your whole organization. Right. And yeah, just going on that, it's like no matter what, we're still human. We're going to deal with heavy emotions, and we haven't been taught how to deal with them.
Right.
So that's something that I consider myself an expert at, and that's what I've helped my current clients really deal with that. And I love that you brought up employee engagement, because it's true. If 1 out of 3 were already disengaged, right, before when we were in offices, imagine how disengaged they are at home. Like, they didn't even want to be at the office.
They're already thinking about
they're like, I got food in the fridge. Or, you know what I mean? We all do that. It's so like hard to find a routine working from home. And what I've noticed in some of my clients, a lot of them, it's both ways. It's in the beginning, they were like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna set a routine, be at home. And then now we're 4 months into it and they've lost the routine because they're not making room for other things in their lives that like are really important, like rest and eat, like different things, like eating while you're like present with your food, or just like mindfulness stuff. So, or I've heard that people in the beginning had a hard time finding a routine, and they're still in that state where they can't find a routine. So it's kind of like, that's why I think it's really important what we're doing, and it's needed, absolutely needed, because this is the future of work. It's so unpredictable, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen.
We really don't.
So this is the future of work, and we need to do something about it now, because if, let's say, God forbid, this lasts for like 6 more months or a year, who's to tell, but that the mental health stuff is just going to go, it's just going to decline, just going to continue declining until we address these issues on an individual level.
And it's about building the resilience to like handle these things, because there's always going to be problems. There might be something way worse coming up on the horizon. We do not know.
Oh yeah.
So it's important for us to build the foundation right now, so that we're able to handle things as they come up. Like if you're always stressed out about whatever goes wrong at work, like something I mean, it could be the smallest thing and people
Right.
panic, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's important to be able to handle the communication, not only within your company, but also to customers. Like if you are in a customer service role and something goes wrong and this customer is gonna yell at you and whatever, it's important to have these like, okay, breathe, I can get this, I am capable of this and I can do this. Like that is the most important thing, at least for me and for anybody else in that kind of organization. So I know that you are working on an 8-week type program that is mindfulness based, and it talks about all of the different ways that you can build this resilience. So I wanted to get your ideas on like what this type of program would look like and how it's instituted in organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I would get on group coaching calls once a week for about virtual, of course, on Zoom, and they would be recorded. And basically, I could do up to 10 people. So like, let's say there's a marketing team of 10 people. That's just an example, or a sales team, whatever you guys got. So I would speak to those 10 people once a week, check in with them. And also, these are accountability calls. So all of the work that I give them, the homework, right? And it's actually fun because it's stuff that's good for your mind, right? So I love to get people excited about this work, you know what I mean? So the first week, you know, is really just about our goals, right? And since we are measuring our goals based on basically how you're feeling, right? So I'm gonna send out like a questionnaire basically. So how are you currently feeling? How do you want to feel, right? And like I come in and I help you with that gap in between. So I help you get there basically, and I have the tools for that. So every week, I don't like to overwhelm people because I know there's so much once you get into this world. I'm like, okay, I can help emotional health and like communication and mental health. There's so much to learn. So I like to break it down into 8 weeks because I feel like 2 months is a really good time period to really hold and build consistent habits.
Yes.
Right? So they say 21 days. I take that and like almost double that because I like to just really make sure that like these things get very concrete and very like into your normal routine, just like brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, taking a shower. Yes. So that's pretty much what I do. I love to stack habits. So every week we're basically stacking habits. Okay. And it's things that don't take very long, right? They're very simple things, but I think that's where the accountability comes in. Yeah. It's just making sure that we're doing that. So for instance, you know, 1 week we'll be like talking about emotional intelligence. So from there I'll speak about like resilience. I'll speak about how to handle when heavy emotions come up, right? And how to know that it's okay. I think that a lot of us have been taught to where when we have heavy emotions, like, oh, just brush it off. That actually is making it build up inside of you even longer. So my approach is like, don't ignore your heavy emotions. Address them in, you know, XYZ. I provide tools, I provide that help. Yeah. And I'm so passionate about what I do that like I'm willing to, if any of those 10 employees need some one-on-one like assistance, like please reach out to me. I don't mind getting on another like 30 minutes to an hour call if they need to talk to me about anything personal going on in their lives. Because you never know what anyone's going through and dealing with, especially right now. So that's kind of like an example. So every week, you know, the types of topics that I cover: emotional awareness and intelligence, right? Mental resilience, clear communication. So how can we communicate? How can we speak our reality into existence, right? Because even when we communicate and we venting is also very good for you, but how can you vent and then find solutions to what you're venting about? Right. You know, so I'm very solutions oriented, right? Let's feel heavy emotions, but then let's move forward. Right. So that's kind of like where coaching is like where that coaching comes in. You know. So the way that I like to also describe it is, it's like going to a gym, right? And you work out your bicep. But this is working out your mind. Yes. And being somebody's holding you accountable to work out your mind.
Because it's all there. We have the methods. We have the technology. But we just need to be able to use it right, and that's why we need a coach. Yes. Because like, you know, people go through this, they have these, you know, big emotional problems. People come up against it, and if they can't use what they have correctly, then they need help. Yes, and I love that you said we all already have it, because it's true.
the confidence, the love, the power, you know, that inner power that you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the confidence, all of that, the bliss, the peace that you're seeking, it's already there. Like it's within yourself, but it's just about how can we access those portals within the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what I really love and what I'm passionate about, helping people find. Because that's what I love witnessing is like those aha moments, you know what I mean? And it's like also the way that I coach too is not just like me talking at people, it's like you finding the wisdom within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that when we get done with our 8 weeks or whatever, if you sign on with me for longer, whenever you're finished, like my work will feel done if I know that you can now do this for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's like really important to me too. It's not just regurgitating knowledge. Like I really want you to practice what I'm showcasing for you. So.
Yeah, and it's you know, like if we're talking about like, does this really work? You know, like you've seen it happen. You've seen it within people. You know, like that's where the aha moment is. Like if you can use it yourself and if you can do this yourself, that's when it is like, okay, then you basically have taught the man to fish, you know? Like,
exactly.
So, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna ask, does this have medical backing? You know, like where does this come from in terms of like, is it just all spiritual? Is it just in your head? No, what are we gonna do?
Is it just all philosophy? No, so actually what's interesting is, so I have my degree in psychology.
Yes.
And of course we have a beautiful neuroscience researcher on our team, Martina.
Yes.
And so I think that I studied more social behavior, she studied more neuroscience. And both are highly scientific. And I think that it's very interesting because these essentially are ancient spiritual practices. There's no denying that, right? But now UCLA, UC Irvine, you know, Stanford, all of these medical schools are hooking up, you know, these brainwave monitors to people while they're meditating. And seeing what it's doing to the brain. And how many different, yes, exactly. And it's like, I love relating it back to science because I'm the type of person I understand it on that like more metaphysical, ethereal way, but also I need the concrete examples for my own mind. So I like to use a lot of like things so my own mind will be like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. It's that motivation to even do the things, right? So so I love researching a lot of those things. And we have a lot of actually resources on our blog. If anybody wants to check it out, peakmindful.com/blog. So Martina, she's posted a lot of neuroscience related content on there. I posted a lot more on the social behavioral science type of content on there, and both go hand in hand.
Yes.
You know, it's like how at the end of the day can we use psychology and philosophy, blend it together, and use it to open up these pathways in our brain that a lot of us haven't felt in a while. So one thing that with my clients I'll hear is I used to be a really happy person. I used to be, you know, really carefree. You know, and I don't know what happened, you know what I mean? It's like, I started working, I started getting stressed, right? Stress increases cortisol in the body. So not only that, on the scientific level, if we're talking science, more cortisol, and cortisol that's spiking all at once, that is sending your body into fight or flight mode. Your body is it's a natural animalistic instinct that all animals have. Us as humans, we're animals. So fight or flight essentially is only supposed to be activated if there's like immediate danger in front of you.
Right.
There's a tiger in front of me, I gotta run, something in your body clicks, and you will be able to run as fast as you can. And what it does is that actually shuts off all of the other systems in your body. So like, even if you had just eaten a sandwich and that tiger's in front of you, your digestive system is gonna stop digesting and you're gonna just run. That's what fight or flight does. Yeah. So think about what that's doing with everybody now experiencing anxiety. Anxiety is physiological. It's a physiological response to stress. It's not stress. Yeah. So when you get that anxiety, your fight or flight kicks in. Think about that. Your immune system, your digestive system, your all of these, your endocrine system, everything is kind of putting itself on a pause when you get into fight or flight. So that's why when people have high cortisol levels, they tend to gain weight. They tend to get sluggish. They tend to, because your body, your mind is working at this rate of fight or flight, and it's like trying to come back to that homeostasis.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, if you want, I love nerding out on the science stuff behind it, but that's essentially what many people in corporations, in corporate culture have experienced now for way too long.
Yeah.
Because we've all been taught just suffer and then work. But no, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have your cake and eat it too. You know, like your employees can be happy, love what they do, and in turn, you will get better results. You will get higher numbers, higher sales, more productivity, you know what I mean? They'll actively, and think about like, okay, so I love energy, right?
Yes.
Think about the energy that your employees are putting into, like you said, engagement, into their work. So like one employee could get, like, let's say they have the same amount of tasks as another employee, because they're engaged and they have that energy, that mindset of like, I can get this done, like, you know, they're positive, they've healed through any emotional thing that they've been dealing with, they've really addressed it. In that hour, they can get so much more done than employee B.
Yeah.
But then the question comes into matter is like, well, what are you doing for employee B then? You know? So that's kind of where I feel like would be a great place for us to step in, since like we have all of this this knowledge, and I'm just so eager and ready to share it.
Yes, and exactly. It's like, how do you want to be known to your employees? Like within your organization, how do you want to be known? And if you're caring about their well-being, and if you're like, okay, we are going to meet once a week and we're going to do this and we're going to talk about what we're feeling right now and how everybody's doing, and we're going to get better.
Yeah.
And we're just going to get good. And that in of itself, I would work for that company in a second.
Yeah.
So
they care about my mind.
Oh my God, what a concept, you know?
Yeah.
So those types of things, I'm really glad you brought those up. They were awesome. You did an awesome whole presentation on that, and I'm really happy that you gave it to us.
Oh, thank
but you know, in any case, we will be going through these types of programs, and I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that they can reach out to us if they have any questions. You know, if they want to hear more about this, and we have resources on our Peak Mindful page, we have resources on our app, we have resources everywhere, but also just reach out to me directly if you're interested, and we will get this set up for you guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and then I'm just Navjot at peakmindful.com. We'll have the subtitles. And
Gabriella at peakmindful.com.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me, Gabby.
Thank you, Navjot. This is awesome.
Yeah, definitely.